taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality, presented by the Triple S League.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast for December 5th, 2020. This is your source for news, leaks, and insights about games and the gaming industry. Saturday edition of the show, and wow. So we are officially, for the first time ever, less than a week away from the release of Cyberpunk 2077. Exciting times, should be interesting, or of course, if you're a Best Buy customer, we're like 2 days past the release date. We'll get into that a little bit. Wow, that was a flub and a half. Anyway, yeah, so welcome to the show. Great to see everybody already so active in the live chat, and I'm here as always with Moontag and Cyber City. And how you folks doing today?
Hi, doing pretty good. We love seeing everybody so active in the live chat. Don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough. It tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content. And if you're listening after the fact on one of the audio-only platforms, we're glad you're here as well, and we appreciate your likes and follows. If you want to get the latest info sooner, hit the link below to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
That's right, yeah, the audio-only ones, they go up a little bit on a little bit of a delay just because of the time it takes to process them. But if you watch the live show on YouTube, you get the absolute latest info sooner. Also, I think the live chat replay is maybe fixed now. I mentioned that in the last show, that for some odd reason it was the option to have a live chat replay was grayed out. When I set up the stream last night, it was available again. So hopefully we're there. Hopefully it's back on, because I know some of you who can't catch it live love to see the chat hijinks while you're listening to the show. All right, Scadrill's wondering, is the Wednesday podcast still on track? You guys, the game literally launches the second you guys go live. We need to talk about that. We might replace. We'll need to plan that internally. But that
we'll obviously be streaming it as soon as it goes live.
Well, no, we can't. We can't. The embargo is 12 hours later. It's like we can't stream it as soon as it goes live.
Oh, so I thought you were sorry. I thought that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, no. But the actual game release, which actually might as well talk about right now. I've got an image. If you're wondering when the game goes live in your particular region, I'm going to bring up an image on the screen right now. So the Cyberpunk 2077 release dates, or release times. So the official release date is December 9th, of course, but it depends what platform you're on, and it depends where in the world you are. So for consoles, the game will unlock / release in each region at midnight local time. So it doesn't matter. So wherever you are in the world, it releases at midnight December 9th. So that means if you are, sorry, not December 9th, December 10th. December 10th. Sorry, that mix-up will be, you'll understand in a second. So Thursday, December 10th, midnight if you're playing on consoles, wherever you are in the world. And that does mean that some people will be playing the game, the game unlocks for you later than for other people. But if you're on PC or on Stadia, the game unlocks at the same time worldwide. And that is midnight Greenwich Mean Time. Which means if you're in Tokyo, you can see on the right side of the image on your screen right now, the game will unlock for you at 9 a.m. on December 10th. If you're on the west coast of North America, it'll actually unlock for you at 4 p.m. Pacific time on December 9th. So that's where the mix-up that I just did came from. I saw the 9th on the screen here, and I said 9th. So hope that all makes sense. Time zones can be confusing, but bottom line, midnight GMT is when it releases for PC and Stadia worldwide, all at the same time. That means it's a little bit later than that. On if you're east of GMT, then it's later in the day. If you're west of the GMT, then you actually get it on December 9th. But it's actually the same time, so nobody gets it earlier than anybody else. On consoles, it releases midnight local time.
I did have a question though, because if you look in the middle towards the bottom of the screen, it says a preload of the game will be available on Monday, December 7th at 12 p.m. CET on GOG and at 5 p.m. CET on Steam and Epic Store.
Right. That means you can download the game onto your computer. It downloads the files, but
Okay,
the
so
game
it's just
is not playable
downloading.
until the release time.
Okay.
It just means so that when the game actually releases, then you don't have to wait for the download. It's already pre-downloaded everything. So now, what I'm confused about with all of this is that we had a particular retail outlet. It with the initials BB. I had a better joke for it, but I can't remember it now. Anyway, so Best Buy actually shipped out some of their copies of the game early, and I haven't found any official confirmation of how many copies of the game they actually shipped out. Saib, you were saying you're hearing it's in the thousands.
Yeah, I'm hearing it's in the thousand.
That's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy.
I mean, there's dozens upon dozens of videos of people doing their or photos of them, unboxing their box. So just like the fact that the number of people who'd be willing to post something like that after receiving it is like maybe 1 in 10 typically.
Right.
Collector's edition may be a little bit more so, but not much more than like 2 to maybe top end would be like 3 in 10. So there's a lot of people who just got it and looked at it and said, "Huh, that's weird," and or they got excited and they like call their friends over and they all look at the stuff or something like that. But a lot of them have the plan, right? So there are some people who are just gonna, they're not gonna do anything until roughly the time that everybody else was going to do it anyways because they had a plan or something like that, or maybe they're already like halfway through the campaign. Um, but the number of people who typically share like that kind of personal private information is typically it's about 1 in 10. Like you would hear a lot more about like a lot of other stuff in life if more people had the proclivity to share absolutely everything. And even people who do share literally and absolutely everything, they're not the norm. They're kind of like an exception to themselves. So, yeah. So just from like a rough guesstimate, um, several thousand at the very least. The other thing that somebody was able to see was that there was about that there did appear to be about a couple like around 1,000 or so people that had kind of it was on kind of like a floating list of like who's playing what kind of thing in discords, and people managed to like track together a large amount of names. So going from that, it looks like it's well over the 1,000 mark. So yeah, that could also that's about as much as I'm gonna go on that.
Yeah. Well, so that is obviously we're talking about physical copies then, right? And like actual disc copies. Because if it was a digital download, it wouldn't unlock until the release time, correct? So if you actually, this is people who actually got the disc that are able to play, that are playing the game right now, basically. Am I correct in that? Like,
it would have to be the disc. Yes,
Yeah.
it would have to be the physical disc. They're not getting it early from Steam or from GOG.
and obviously they'd be playing it without the day one patch. So
Yeah.
is that why would they not have some kind of mechanism in place to prevent? I mean, I guess that would
Well, they
require it to
do.
be online.
Typically, a lot of game companies do. It's called it's the software that locks down the game until quote unquote it opens. Um, they don't use that though.
Yeah.
Like they don't use that pirate protection software. So this is a case where all they needed to do was to make sure that they were hitting that street date correctly with their shipping and all the rules around the shipping. But just due to all of the problems and all this stuff going on, it's quite possible that that compounded a lot of the problems. Like right now we're seeing this a lot with like the theft of like consoles, is because people are for the most part fairly desperate. So yeah.
All right. So anyway, yeah. So major screw up on the part of Best Buy there, um, and we have had a
Well, I mean, part of me has this kind of like, I've been hearing a lot of rumors, and I wouldn't necessarily say that it was a screw up. Um, I suspect fairly strongly that it was intentional by at least some people. So yeah, I think that there are some people who made a significant amount of money off of this. Um, I know I've been contacted once already with somebody who's offering me a copy of the game early. Um, but yeah, no, it's definitely something that some people are making a lot of money off of.
I just received a DM from somebody on Discord, Sauce Masters, telling me they also released a 43 gigabyte patch to fix bugs for those playing early. Now
Um,
that could be intended for people who are legitimately playing review copies, but
mhm.
by the way, I have not confirmed that for myself, so to, take it for what it's worth. But our community is usually pretty reliable with this kind of info. So that even if they are releasing that kind of a patch for the people who are illegitimately playing it early, it might be it might be just so that the game looks better in the leaked content. I don't know. It's kind of speculating off the top of my head there, but very interesting. So we had a question from another one of our members, I believe it was Schedule, asking about the basically content creator review copies and why are so many content creators, like YouTube content creators, not receiving review copies of the game. And I mean, I want to touch on this lightly because I mean it's hard to talk about it objectively being content creators. So obviously we have we have an interest in this. We would like to receive a review copy, and we have not yet. And neither has, as far as we know, neither has anyone else that we work with on the Cyberpunk Community Podcast, as well as some other even larger YouTubers that we know of and work with. But the community was asking about it, so I thought we should touch on it just a little bit. What do you want to say about what's going on there, Cyb? I mean, it's again, like I said, it's tough to touch on this subjectively, and I debated even bringing it up. Bottom line, they have their reasons for what they're doing. Whether or not they're good reasons is up for debate, I suppose.
Well, so all right. Well, I mean, we can answer this with pretty public information. One, how do we know that very few content creators have gotten a copy of the game? And well, aside from our connection to a lot of people, it's also not hard to see what a lot of these content creators are doing. Most of them are not hyper paranoid, so most of them you can just like if you've if you're on their servers, if you're seeing them, you can typically see what they're doing and what they're playing and or what programs they're running. And typically, if they're running, a different game for 7-8 hours a day, then there's a good chance that they're not playing a different game that hasn't been out yet. The other way that you can kind of tell when some of these creators are doing stuff is, and this goes the same for journalists too. This isn't the big secret. You just sit and you get them on like some kind of a Discord or something that where you can see them, and then when they switch from game to game to game to game, you see that when they switch to a game that they're not supposed to let anybody know that they're playing right now, they typically just go dark. This is why like most good content creators know that you just go dark right away, like just all the time you're just dark. That way nobody can see what you're playing. So that way when a game comes out and it's like, oh, I wonder if Joey Bag of Donuts has been playing this game, and they look over at his thing and it's just always empty, then that way they can't assume it, versus when it's just suddenly goes empty for a span of like 1 week before a particular game comes out. That's kind of like how you can kind of tell that kind of basic stuff. But we also know that as to why there's been some, why isn't certain people getting access to the game? Really, we can look at that and we can say that that's usually due to the fact that companies had bad experience with somebody in that group, and we know that there's been a number of YouTubers who have caused a large amount of grief for CDPR in the last 2 years. A lot of bad press, a lot of negative stories, and yes, the journalist class is not free of this, but they have reported on most of these, and that has been where the story has come from. All of the news, all of the stories, all of the complaints about the work hours and all this kind of stuff that we have debunked time and time and time again, started by one YouTuber opening his big mouth talking about an issue that he only spoke to one person in the company about. One person. And you can't use things like Glassdoor reviews and other things that are similar to that, because some of them are anonymous. And if it's anonymous, then you can confirm like you can't confirm that that's not the same person writing that same review over and over and over and over again. So yes, it does kind of protect the company a little bit. That's why anonymous reviews are decent. But if you're going to report on it instead of just going with a gut feeling, then you need to actually confirm something by talking to at the very least, more than one person. Like, you need to talk to way more people. And and so yeah, this is a problem that's a lot of the problems have been started by YouTubers and content creators. So therefore, it's been kind of hard to ignore the fact that they have a hard time. We also have that other story that what was one of the first leaks that came out from an actual like leak, like photo, video, and that kind of stuff, is from a Polish YouTuber who managed to talk himself into getting into their good graces just so that he could spoil, not spoil the game, but like he could post a bunch of pictures that he was under an NDA to not post for, and right away that's going to scare them back too. So there's a lot of compounding problems here that are honestly very aggravating for a lot of people. I get that. I understand that completely, totally. I can't even really complain too much about it. But yeah.
It is kind of a Wild West world when you're dealing with YouTube and independent content creators. So, I mean, I get that. I do get that. It's frustrating that a few bad apples are ruining it for the rest of us. That's for sure. Also, we have a lot. I should clarify. We as YouTubers, we do have a lot of support from within the company, from within CDPR. They've been really good to us, including us in the ARGs, and sending, letting their staff come on our community podcast and on this podcast and answer questions and be interviewed. So they've been really good to us. But the people who run, the people who run that side of things aren't necessarily the same people that decide who get the review copies. And I should clarify, we have not yet received a review copy. Crosraven asks, not received or not yet received. We don't have anything yet. Now, in North America, they're actually using a third-party service to distribute the keys, and we received an email from that third-party service that said, don't expect to hear anything till at least Monday. So anyway, if we do receive a review copy, likely we won't be able to talk about it at all. So we'll probably just go radio silent on that for the next little while. But that's the situation. We're hoping to receive something. Might not be until like a couple days before release. Who knows if we do get something, but it's all up in the air. We're not certain at this point what's going to happen on that front. But anyway, watch out for leaks and spoilers out there, because there are lots of people who received the game early, legitimately or illegitimately, and will are not afraid to post things. So by the way, we have a spoiler-free chat on our a chat channel on our Discord server, and we have a spoilers allowed channel on our Discord server. So if you're okay with spoilers and you want to talk about them with people, you can go to that channel on the Discord, and if you don't want spoilers, you can stick to the other one, or any of the other wonderful rooms that we have there, where you can discuss a whole ton of things with other folks. All right. So I actually found Scadrill's message about about the review copies. I was looking for it earlier to find his exact wording and questions, so I apologize. But anyway, so he says, lots of big names have not gotten a review copy of the game. What would be the thought process behind that? Cyb has addressed that. Then he followed up with another question. Are they not confident with their product? So I think the answer to that is no. That they are confident in their product. That's not why they're withholding review copies from YouTubers and such. But anyway, wanted to get your words on that, Cyb. Is that any indication that they're not confident in their product?
No, I'd say that their only confidence that they don't have it in is the whole of the gaming press, right? Because they haven't gotten a fair shake from a lot of journalists. They haven't gotten a fair shake from tons of other people. So yeah, it's really messed up.
Yeah, for sure. All right, some interesting questions in the chat here. Sunglare says, isn't it kind of late to receive a review copy? 3 days to play isn't enough time to review. You're correct. It's not enough time to review the full game. But, I mean, we'll take what we can get.
Exactly. Plus, we've got the three of us here, and I think we're all choosing different life paths.
Yes. Well, and that's the other question is, if we do get a review copy, would we get 1 copy or 3 copies? For all 3 of us to try it out. We just don't know at this point. This next week is just completely up in the air for us. So if we're a little disorganized, please bear with us. Ashton Banky asks, Triple S League, how did you guys meet the other YouTubers in the Cyberpunk 2077 podcast? Well, we basically reached out. The community podcast was essentially Cyb's idea. And we had originally reached out to the Mad Queen to collab on a few videos. Cyb reached out to her, and we did a few videos and things with her. She came on this podcast a couple of times, and then basically it was just a networking project. We got in contact with Last Known Meal and Neon Arcade, and a few others. We reached out to others beyond them, but they were definitely the most interested, and it just came together from there. Cyb kind of corralled that whole thing. He kind of was the driving force behind that. All right. John says they aren't confident YouTubers won't post spoilers. Absolutely, that's true.
Yeah, that's basically what it boils down to too. And I would have to say that I wouldn't be confident in people posting spoilers either in their position, which is why I'm not harping on them. With the exception of a handful of people, like there's a number of people within the community that are very close to CDPR, that are very close to Artel Saurian, and these people wouldn't jeopardize that. They just wouldn't. And these people also know things that most other people don't know, and have known these things for a very long time. They wouldn't do that. It's just that there's a point at which that is. Plus in these situations, there's a number of internal dialogues open with them, and there's a number of conversations running on stuff, and these people can speak to them directly. They know our personal addresses, that kind of stuff. There's no reason to assume that those people are going to ruin that relationship and also open themselves up for massive legal troubles in the future. But again, that's not our call. That's not even some people's in the company's call. That are close to these people. It's kind of a difficult thing. And so again, I'm not faulting them, and I can't fault them for this because again, it's like you've been burnt by, you know, two of the top 10 YouTubers in this particular field, right? So that's a huge problem. That obviously leads to some massive trust issues, and again, can't blame them because of that case. Sorry, not three, not two, three massive problems. Two are public, one is not, and yeah, that's bad for considering the top 10 YouTubers that have been covering this game for a number of years now, and three of them have massive problems that have either led to legal problems, massive stock portfolio losses, or other embarrassing things that are not their fault. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I know the feeling. So yeah, um, I wouldn't worry too much about it. You know, we'll cope, just like we always do. Yeah, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, we will get through that. All right. One final note on Cyberpunk news: we have we've identified the color of the year, or at least the most anxiety-inducing color of the year. We know what color that Cyberpunk yellow placard color is now. Pantone 3945C. Up on your screen right now, and just seeing that color. I'm gonna get it off the screen because it's making me anxious. It's making me anxious. Anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. CDPR tweeted that out. So, okay. Anything else for Cyberpunk?
No, not just be like, again, with the warning, heads up, spoilers incoming, lots of them. Not on this channel. Just in general, there's going to be a lot of people spoiling big moments for the game. So again, take very much caution in what you're doing, where you're looking. Our videos will always be free of spoilers up until a ways in on general podcasts and stuff. Guides and whatnot will obviously be covering. We're not going to say something, you know, like Big Bird and what's the elephant that Big Bird always hung out with? The Snuffleupagus. Big Bird and Big Bird and the elephant have a death match in, you know, 5 hours into the game. Like, you know, we're not going to be announcing that kind of stuff on the guide, you know, video. So you know that you can trust us here, and we're going to try and do our best to like maintain.
If there are guides on quests and things, obviously it might cover some story elements from that quest.
Yeah, no, yeah, of course that, but like the thumbnail is not going to, you know, going to reveal that.
Oh yeah.
The spoiler. Obviously, if there is a Big Bird and Snuffleupagus fight to the death, and we're covering a guide on how to make it happen or what side to choose, obviously at that point, you know, once you click into the video, you're gonna see some stuff, and we're gonna have a little spoiler warning at the beginning. But just generally speaking, we're not gonna be announcing that kind of stuff until probably like 2-3 weeks, maybe. What's the normal thing for like spoiler, for like just generally talking about spoilers
for game embargoes? They usually say 2 weeks.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what's relevant? Like the whole thing that happened at the end of Endgame for Marvels. When was it okay to start mentioning that just passively in general conversation?
I don't know. For some people, it's still not. But anyway,
well,
that's a good question.
I don't crazy. Know. It's been out for how many years? Like, it's been out for well over, like, what? Is it 2 years now? I'm pretty sure it's 2 years.
Well, yeah, because it was pre-lockdown.
Yeah.
Because I saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's culturally acceptable. I do know that when game when game companies have emailed me and said, please don't talk about the ending or major spoilers until the game's been out for 2 weeks is usually what they say. Now, a game this massive, I mean, we might push it a little farther than that. We'll probably give spoiler warnings for months. Like, just say, okay, spoiler warning, we're going to talk about something that happens later in the game. If you don't want to hear that, then I guess, tune out. Stick your fingers in your ears and go la 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 until
Later point.
Till later. So anyway, yeah, but I think everyone's going to have a different opinion on it, because for some people it's going to take them more. It's going to take more than a couple weeks to get through this game. Like, some people are going to play through it all in like 2-3, maybe even in a week, if they've if they have the time for it.
Sleep.
Yeah, if they don't sleep and they do that scene, that disgusting scene from South Park. Mom, a bucket.
Oh no! I remember that episode.
the World of Warcraft episode.
Yes, that's right. Oh man. Yeah, even Flare Charger says in the chat, Cyberpunk is a longer game. I'd say a month or so for a game like it. I'm honestly like leaning towards 3-4 weeks there.
Yeah, I'd say 6 to 8 weeks. Might be. I think the real question is, when can you talk about the end of the game without saying spoiler warning? Like, what is that point?
Yeah, that's what I've been talking about this whole time.
Yeah, because I mean, you can talk about whatever you want, as long as you're like, hey, warning, spoilers. You can do that a day after the game comes out if you want.
Totally.
But when do you do it without spoiler warning? I think the fact that we're even asking that means that there's no established convention. So Dark Hollows is 3 to 4 months. Game Notes 3 months. The Islington girl says people are saying it takes 6+ hours to get through the intro. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you saw the one guy who tried to, took him like 6 hours to get through the intro quest to the what's that called?
What, the Cuphead tutorial?
Yeah, the Cuphead game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just pointing out that yeah.
All depends who's saying that. Yeah, and Flare Charger says, also, you got to think about the 3 different life paths. Yeah, no kidding.
This is true.
All right.
So I mean, it does depend.
But we'll give spoiler warnings if we're talking about anything.
Exactly.
In depth.
Exactly. And
yeah, I guess we'll wrap that up for. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a question from Sunglare. I think we'll have to find out when we play the game, though. But what kind of save feature does the game have? Can we save at any time, anywhere?
Good question.
Something we'll have to find out.
I would think so, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure there is. Just to answer this thing about the intro, well, it depends on like what you mean by intro, right? Like, there are some games like KOTOR, you can technically call the first world the intro, and that took like people 10 to 12 hours to get through. So it really does depend, right? It depends on the type of game. It depends on what their opening, world or thing is. I mean, technically speaking, I think the intro into like, Skyrim was like, the 10 seconds that you spent like looking down the hill, as on the cart as you're being wheeled it up to Helgen. So I mean, I would say that it really does depend on the scenario and the situation that you're talking about, and that obviously some games are going to be a lot longer than others, and I think that is I think we are looking at a longer intro, because you are being introduced, and I've said this a number of times, you are being introduced flat out to the to a brand new world, right, that most people are not familiar with, even like hardcore gamers are not familiar with the Cyberpunk world, and this is something that obviously they're going to take their time on. So I would say that yeah, 6 hours is probably true. But it depends on what we're counting in towards that, whole rolling experience. So yeah,
Mhm.
I would lean heavily towards that being true though. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I don't doubt that at all. That it's a
I was just
many
poking
hour
fun
experience
at-
just to get through that the
Yeah,
first initial life path quest up. There's 2 or 3 major quests in that intro section before you start the main sort of inciting incident, if you will, that sort of carries the rest of the plot of the main quest.
yeah, and we're just yeah, and I was just poking fun at them. I didn't actually mean that. You know,
Yeah. And it wasn't somebody who couldn't make the first jump.
yeah, no.
And hey, everyone, we love seeing you all so active in the live chat. If you want to keep the conversation going after the live broadcast, you can join us on Discord with the awesome people in our Discord community, the self-named the Triple S Legion, by clicking the invite link in the description below. Saib and I are usually there on the server after the live podcast, so come say hi. And there's usually somebody gaming, streaming, or active in the chat rooms where you'll find lots of other fun and informative gaming content there as well.
And join us for the Among Us and other community games that we play quite regularly, and that is run mostly by our community members. It's not something that we actively host. I hate murdering my friends and community members, so I'm disinclined to say, "Hey guys, let's all play a game where I murder you all."
But you get to exist as a ghost, and you still get to see your
I
friends.
in the last time we played Among Us, I encountered the joy of the post being dead chat lobby, where everybody's like, oh my goodness, it was totally him all along, and I'm like, yeah, I know, I didn't see that coming. I thought I could trust Too Tall. I thought he was going to be there for me, and then he broke my neck and then shot me in the head. Oh.
All
Welcome to
those random
Cyberpunk.
right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
totally a
Too Tall has
Cyberpunk
killed me
game.
every single time he has been the imposter. So yeah, for some people it's like, yay, it's a challenge to find Cyb and kill him. Yay, yeah, write a passage. Oh yay. Mm.
That's awesome. Hey,
It's a good
another
chat.
thing you'll find in the description below is a link to our merch store with some of our logo merch, as of course, the Triple S logo, Triple S League. Spit it out, Ash. The Triple S League logo merch. We are also working on a Triple S Legion design. There'll probably be a couple of those, but you can also get some amazing original artwork from our very own Moontag. You cannot get these designs anywhere else, so check it out. Okay, couple of quick stories I wanted to get to before we get on to talking about BioWare. Microsoft just purchased Smash.gg, which you may be familiar with if you're into esports, but it's a company started.
It's not that kind of Smash. It's the other kind of Smash,
Smash as in like Smash Brothers, I guess, kind of.
and not the other kind of Smash. There are three terms for there was some school, like when Smash Brothers was about to come out. Some school, one of the kids like ran into one of the classrooms and drew on chalk. It's like, Smash on Tuesday, get ready everyone. And somebody immediately walked in, and some adult looked at that and made the completely normal, totally like sane assumption that that person was going to smash the entire school with, things that we can't talk about, violent things, and therefore called the police and got the SWAT team in, and they even drew the Smash symbol like for the Smash Brothers. So yeah, that was fun. But yeah, then
Indeed.
there's the other kind of Smash that you find on other sites, and then there's the good Smash, as in like PvP arena, and everybody standing up to sing that one song from Space Jam, right? The Space Jam song.
The Space Jam. Smashing that like button. Another good use of the word smash.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, it's Smash.gg is a company that is let me just find this description here. It's a self-service esports platform available to tournament organizers from all game communities. So they provide tools for basically running esports things. They provide bracket and registration functionality for online and live events, running from 16-person LAN events to online tournaments with thousands of participants. The software is free for anyone to use. Anyway, they got purchased by Microsoft. So, go figure. So Microsoft really continuing to expand their influence in the gaming arena, and in this case, esports. If you're a fan of online MMOs, you might want to check out Project V, which has recently made some openings for the community to get in there and test the game out. The game is said to be focused around a genre called MOCO, Multiplayer Online Co-op, teaming players together to raid dungeons and gather loot. And the developers of this game formerly come from... It's made by developers who formerly worked for Riot Games and EA. So, anyway, this sounded interesting. Sounded like something that some of you might be interested in. So check it out. You might be able to get into the alpha for that game if you are curious about it. Oh man, my
I wanted to say a quick thank you to the Islington girl for the cool emoji and the donation.
Oh, thank you so much, Islington girl. That's very cool. I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah.
What is that?
Really
A sticker or
it's a pear. I don't know. It's like a little dancing pear emoji.
It's a pear,
So
but the function to make that appear, is that a new thing, or am I just... I'm not all here this morning. I don't know about you, but it feels like there's a disconnect between brain and mouth this morning. I'm having trouble getting those words out. But thank you so much, Islington girl. Scadril says, Riot and EA, what a portfolio. Yeah, indeed, but it's former devs, so who knows, right? Maybe they're people who left the company because they didn't like how things were going. I don't know. Just sounded interesting, so I don't know too much about it other than that. Super sticker. Okay, cool.
Thank you for the super sticker.
Jared okay. I'm not going to read that, but that's funny. Okay, so on to our next major topic, BioWare. I have a special slide for this one. So this was we had a parody logo of BioWare Corporation made by our Discord, and well, he's a Discord, he's a supporter, he's a mod on our Discord server. Terror K has a great sense of humor, does lots of funny cartoons. He made this BioWare logo for us. So I'm gonna just put that there while we're talking about BioWare. So BioWare saw some massive departures this week. Casey Hudson and Mark Dara have both resigned from BioWare. Casey Hudson was the studio general manager. He worked for BioWare for 14 years. Now that was in 2 different stints. He was around during the original Mass Effect days, and I believe he was the lead designer on that game, or he was
one of the original one of the original team members on the original founders were the 3 Doctors. He was one of the people that was brought in shortly after that.
So
he did help found the company. All founders are now out. All founders, all founding staff members, and all original story writers and creators are all gone at BioWare. They are all done. They are not there anymore.
Yes. So this is big. This is big. Like Saib said, Casey Hudson was there from near the beginning. There was a brief stint where he left the company to work for Microsoft, but that didn't go anywhere. Or in any case, he returned to BioWare as general manager a few years ago, and now he's gone. So now he's out. Don't know where he's going or what he's doing, but his departure post indicated that he wanted to get back into more creative pursuits. So,
which means that he doesn't have creative freedom.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have the ability to take stories where he wants to take them. And this could be because EA is telling him, no, sir, we have run the numbers, we have talked to our analysts, and you're wrong. People don't want interesting gameplay and unique stories. They want microtransactions. Lots and lots of microtransactions. They want nothing but microtransactions and a way to suck their wallets dry. They'd line up around the block to do this. Don't you understand, you fool? Now get it done. Or he's facing internal pressures by certain people within the company who's going, excuse me, sir, we can't put this in the game. Don't you understand? We have to make a message with this game. We have to do what Naughty Dog did. We have to say, screw what the people want, screw what they're expecting us to do with the story, take the story and trash it, just like Star Wars did, just like Star Trek did. We take all of the old lore and we put it into a giant blender and we blend it up and then we pour it down the drain because it's bad. It's bad. Well, what should we put in there? I don't know. Something about everybody loving each other. Well, we have to have a bad guy. Excuse me, bad guys. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. Ah! Think of the children. Think of the children.
This is like insert image of lemon grab here.
Yeah.
Essentially. Thank you, Polly's, for the super chat. BioWare right now is like Black Knight from Monty Python. Every time Dev leaves them, BioWare pretends it is just a scratch as their body parts fall apart while they're screaming how everything is going just great.
Right.
That's a great mental.
Well, now that the head has left, like
Mm-hmm.
that Black Knight just got decapitated. So with Casey Hudson leaving, the general manager, obviously, and then Mark Dara was the executive producer of Dragon Age.
So I just want to finish my point here. Basically, those are the two things that appear to have happened.
Now I've heard some others speculate that perhaps it was because he was in charge, running the business side of things and being in charge of managing the entire studio might not have left him the time to do the creative things he wants to do, which I can kind of see that, although I am inclined to think you're correct.
It's I think it's honestly probably a combination of both. He was probably being told that he couldn't change or write or lead the story the way that he wanted to. He was probably being told by EA that he had to do certain things to make sure that they approved of the game. We know that the original vision of Dragon Age was something of an open-ended, wide world, super open world, complete any which way that you wanted to, by creating a massive guild of nerds who got everything done by signing papers, and there's this big barbarian horde that shows up on their doorstep, and the guy's like, I'm gonna burn your building down, I'm gonna kill you all. And then the one nerd comes out and goes, well, actually, we just bought your entire army and all of your lands back out where you guys came from. All of your all of your children, women and children, are now being held hostage. And if you guys attack us, you die. And if you go home, you all get a bonus of 1,000 gold. Oh, except for the boss guy, we gonna give you guys a bonus of 10,000 gold if you draw and quarter him right now. And then that's what happens. Like, you could have done it that way, or you could have led that barbarian horde running around destroying everything. The amount of depth that they were going for was incredibly deep. And now we know that EA said that no, scratch that. We want online service, service. We're repeatable. Excuse me, repeatable. I can English. Repeatable content that you perform online over and over and over again to unlock, new 50,000 different colors that you technically can't unlock by playing the game. You have to end up spending like $5,000 just to unlock all the colors, and then we're just going to constantly pump out new armor and stuff. That's what they were doing with Anthem. You can't say no, that's not their plan, because that's exactly what Anthem was. Mild, very, very mild visual changes in the armor, just thousands of different colors and color hues that you could buy, upwards of $20 per color. $20 per color.
20 for a digital color?
20 for a digital color. And there was not only colors, but there was also textures. And so you could change the texture from like a matte finish to a smooth steel finish to a cross T finish to a circular bubble kind of finish to all that kind of stuff.
I bet it would have been $40 if you bought this color. Instantly debuffs your enemy with crippling anxiety.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So go ahead.
Yeah. So this is what we know has more or less happened here, and the things that are involved. I'm still looking to. I'm in talks to talk with some people about it and kind of do some planning. But yeah, it's pretty messed up. It's not just pretty messed up. It is definitely very, very messed up. And it's honestly really, really, really frustrating and stressful. And yeah, to see all this work, all this hard work just be destroyed, forgotten, pushed over, ignored, buried.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sad thing. So
Common Pants asks, I think sarcastically, what about Anthem 2.0? I'm holding my breath for that. Yeah. What we do know is that the in development Dragon Age project is now going to be headed up by Christian Daly, the studio director at BioWare Austin. Now, he is supposed to be heading up Anthem 2.0 project. That's kind of what he's been working on. So it's a very good question. What's going to happen with Anthem right now? Not that I really think anyone is terribly concerned about it. But what about that, Saib? Like, do you want to? We are going to be releasing a video on this this coming week, diving into does BioWare have any kind of a future anymore? But perhaps you want to talk a little bit about it now, Saib. What does this mean for the upcoming projects, the new Mass Effect, the new Dragon Age, and Anthem?
Yeah, so I recorded a bit of a video yesterday. It should be out sometime soon. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. It means that it's dead, and I don't like saying that, but I think we have to look at reality. It's dead. They have no creative core group anymore. Not one. Not at all. Not even in the slightest. They don't have a core group. They don't have a core writing team. They don't have a core creative team. Most of their team leads for animation, most of their team leads for their art, most of the team leads for pretty much everything have all left the company. A lot of them have been hired by new local companies. There are now over a half a dozen gaming companies built in and around what used to be BioWare. There are companies that are literally blocks away that people went and joined them, got a much higher pay, much higher pay, and a much bigger, better position. And this has happened all over that city in which their core is located at. They're having a hard time hiring people right now. People look at when they get a job and they're coming to these companies, people who know what they're doing people who have a vision, people who are smart, they look at these companies and they say, what was their last stuff created? What kind of project do I want to be in on? And there's nobody who the love of Mass Effect isn't there anymore. Just isn't there anymore. And I can attest to this because when I drive by construction sites and I see a bunch of guys, wearing ratty clothes, because they're working on a very like physical, demanding, icky job, flushing out sewer lines or digging holes in the ground or whatever. I can't tell you how many times I see an N7 sweater. Like, these guys have given up on the brand. Like, the shirt is not something that the hoodie is not no longer something to cherish. It's a piece of wasted cloth that is kind of like a nice memory. But I mean, hey, I've got to do this dirty job. So that's one of these, like, it's a very small thing, but it's one of these big like things that struck me really, really badly. Like really, really, really badly. I realized that this was bad when I started to see this become the norm. If this is the norm, then we're pooched as far as Mass Effect goes. And the new Mass Effect game that they have coming out, the remaster that they have coming out, that's not there's no new content. There's no new like it's built for the old consoles. This is simply a repaint. It's simply a repaint. That's all it is. Is they've repainted the graphics, the textures, and that's it. There's no like the biggest amount of work that they did is they went in to remap and better the experience on the original game. And that's the biggest thing that's been taking them time. So
Yeah.
is this a company that you would want to work for? Like, their glory days appear to be done. Like, really, really, really do appear to be done. And if their glory days are done, if their time in the sun is over, then why would you go work for that company when you can go work for any of the companies that have come up from this? Improbable Studios, Archetype Studios. These are the companies that have the people who built those games, and more importantly, they're hiring for key positions. So why on earth would you go work for the old company starting at the absolute bottom when you could go work for the new company with the people who actually built these games, who have a passion in their eye? There's no passion at BioWare anymore. I really don't think there is. The last time I was there, everybody was talking about, things that weren't games. Like, that's the other big thing. They're talking about things that aren't games. They're not talking about the newest game ideas. They're talking about other stuff that would make your eyes roll and go, why are we talking about this? We're not interested in this. We just want to play games. Can we get to the games? No, man. No. We have to talk about this. This is important. It's like, I deal with important things all day long. Can we talk about video games? No, man. This isn't, there's more important things than games. Then why are you in the gaming industry? Like, really, that's what it boils down to. And so, yeah, looking at everything that I've seen, they have to shock me. And maybe this change of leadership is going to change things around, but honestly, I don't think so. There's been about 30 to 40 people at BioWare in Edmonton that have been pushing for the company to do and become something that it's not for a very long time. And all of those people are there today from 5 years ago. All of those people are there today. None of the people that they viewed as quote unquote their enemies are there anymore. All of those people who are all the creative people, they're all gone. So now you have corporate people who are interested in profits, bottom line, and taking things and making their own garbage out of it. Those are the people now running the company. Those are the people who are now in power. Those are the people who are having their say be done the way that they want it to be done, and everybody else has to take either a backseat or leave or get out of the way. That's what's been going on at BioWare. That's what's been going on behind the scenes, and that's what's been festering in that company for a very long time now. So no, I think BioWare is dead. And I think it died probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And it's catching up to them. And there were some people who tried to save it and who couldn't. And this doesn't bode well for Naughty Dog. This doesn't bode well for Blizzard, because we're seeing the same stuff play out in those locations as well. More and more people are leaving the company. The people who actually do the work can't work for insufferable, hypocritical, what's the word for people who are completely self-obsessed?
Narcissists, yeah.
Complete narcissists who think that they are some kind of like reincarnation of the ultimate good, and they're like, oh, I'm so amazing. It's like okay, you can brag when you're good at checkers, that's fine, but bragging because you believe that you're going to summon in a new human age, it's like everybody who thought that in the last 100 years typically ended up butchering at least 10 million people. So no thank you, no thank you. I don't want to hear it. And these are the people that are these are the 30 or so people out of 800, and that's the horrible thing. The majority of the company is not this insane, but unfortunately the majority of the company is silent. The majority of the company just puts their head down and says, oh, I don't want to get in trouble, I'm just going to do what I'm told. I'm just going to nod my head at the company meeting and say, yes, I believe, microtransactions, corporate overreach, those are all good things. Yes, I'm there. Because if they don't say that, they're out. If they don't say that, their life is made a living hell. Do you wonder why all these people left the company? Because their life was a living hell. Every single day, their life was a total living hell. Every single day. Would you want to continue working in that scenario, or would you say, screw it, I'm going to go build my own studio? I've got the money, why not? And Blizzard executives have done this, BioWare executives have done this, lots of people are doing this because they're looking at the corporate overreach, they're looking at the corporate control, they're looking at these essentially, they are essentially the megacorps that have come in, taken over the small businesses, told the guys to get in line or, face the wall. And so they're like, all right, well, I'm done here. There's nothing I want to do here. I'm gone. I'm just going to start my own company. And that's what's happened over and over and over and over again. And so, yeah, I suspect that Archetype and Improbable, having mostly been made of people who were the number crunchers, the heavy workers. I told you a story about a BioWare programmer who sits at his desk, works 16 hours a day, falls asleep at his desk for 8 hours, just reclines his chair, goes to sleep. He's not there anymore. So who's going to fill his position? The guy who works nonstop for weeks on end, doing things that nobody else in the studio can do. Who's going to replace him? Ain't got nobody.
Wow.
Gaming tonight.
Want to say,
oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Thanks to Polly's for the super chat. EA, well, it was fun while it lasted, BioWare, but we both know how this ends. Asterix starts to dig new hole in cemetery while also poking Dragon Age 4 embryo with a stick to see if it's still breathing.
What's especially funny is that he made a typo. It says it pokes it with a stick to see if it's still breeding.
Breading.
At first I read that as breeding. I was like
breeding?
Well, okay. We got breeding embryos now. No, thank you, Paulies, for that.
Breathing, yeah.
Yeah.
Gaming Tonight says fewer triple A's and more indies, just the way I like it. I have to agree. I mean, there's something to be said for. I mean, obviously the the big budgets of a AAA game give you resources to do a lot of stuff that you might not otherwise be able to do. But the creativity that indie developers have, the freedom they have to innovate, it just brings so much cool stuff to the gaming community. There's this game out. It came out. I don't even know when it came out, but I'd seen a demo for it a couple of years ago, and now the full game's out. It's called Superliminal. It's one of the most creative concepts I've ever seen in a game. Is basically plays with perspective, where you solve puzzles by grabbing objects, and depending how you hold them, it actually changes the size of the object. Like while you're holding it, it doesn't look like it's changing size, but as soon as you release it, the game basically, the object can be huge or tiny depending on the relative perspective to the surrounding objects. You kind of have to see it to really understand, but like there's some really cool stuff and ideas that could be incorporated into big budget games if they if they work well. And that's really where a lot of these ideas come from, because they have the freedom to try stuff out that the big companies aren't going to take a risk on.
There's another game engine that I saw that was very unique. You used a Polaroid camera to take pictures of the environment that you were in. But when you took the picture and you pulled the picture out, you could then go into that picture at the angle that you had done. So if you took a picture of a room upside down, then you go into the picture, holding the picture upside down. You come in, the floor is now the ceiling is now the floor, and as soon as you go into the picture, that becomes your new reality, and everything that was on the roof, on the floor, which is now the ceiling, falls down because of gravity.
Huh. Gravity.
And if you took a picture zoomed in, you would get smaller. If you took a picture forcing you to zoom out, then you'd be bigger. And
Crazy.
the room would change, the environment would change depending on what you were doing. So it's like, wow, that's very cool.
Well, there's this one part in the Superliminal game that I was telling you about, where you actually grab a house and it's like this tiny little model house, and then you have to kind of zoom it to the size of an actual house, and then you walk in through the front door. It's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So great. I love puzzle games like that.
Well, and you look at games like Super Hot, or even I want to say not Portal, but just innovative concepts.
Like heck, I was playing a lot of escape room games on mobile for a while there, and then they started coming out with escape rooms in real life. That was fun.
Yeah. So was back when Valve, I was going to say Steam, but that's not right. Back when Valve was making Portal and Half-Life, were they considered a AAA studio? Were those AAA games?
Yeah.
Okay.
You mean the original, or
like the original Portal and
no, the original Portal was like a mod of
the original, but when Valve made Portal,
at that point I would say that they were AAA game for sure, or studio,
That's just farther back than my my gaming industry knowledge goes. But anyway, all that to say, yes, more indie games and like larger indie studios too. You see what they're capable of doing. Like if you look at Greedfall, I mean, or Kingdom Come Deliverance, incredible games made with relatively small budgets and small teams.
Small budget, small studios. Wildlife and Subverse have the same thing. These are incredibly tiny studios that are making games that would have been, they are essentially kind of more or less what the old school games were. The original Mass Effect had nudity, and it had a steamy scene in it, and it's like, there were lots of other games. Gauntlet Legends, one of the original like old school Gauntlet games. That thing had this internal nude mod running in it, which was really honestly quite funny because it was like it wasn't a nude mod. It was just like they put like black squares around the bodies,
Why are we
and that
talking
was
about?
that
Sorry.
was really funny.
What
I'm getting to it. I'm
Okay.
getting to it. These are studios that took chances and made things that were gritty and were not for, typically you wouldn't bring this stuff up in polite conversation. That's what the original Diablo was. The original Diablo was very dark and messy and gritty and had lots of nudity in it. They can't remake that game now, not without throwing out pretty much everything that the original game embodied. And now you have these smaller studios that are making these games because nobody else wants to. Nobody else wants to take the risk. And because nobody else wants to take the risk, you're left with this scenario where it's like, all right, well, I guess if nobody's taking the risk, then these indie studios will take the risk. And I think that this is going to end up becoming the next big move in the industry. Is these games that people wrote off and said, no, these things aren't coming out. Like this is not allowed. We're not going to allow this to exist anymore.
You know,
You know,
where
so
oddly enough, where it's still happening, is in a lot of Bethesda's subsidiaries.
yeah,
Like you look at
Bethesda subsidiaries, which is why Microsoft bought them.
like, geez, you look at so I'm nearing the end of Wolfenstein 2. Decided to bust that game out and finish it before Cyberpunk comes out. Oh man, there is some stuff in that game. Like that I was like, I cannot believe I'm seeing this on my screen right now. Like Blazkowicz's wife, pregnant with twins, like 8 months pregnant, topless, covered in Nazi blood because she has just grenaded a whole ton of Nazis, looking at BJ and saying, I'm getting so tired of this shit. Like, I was like, what am I seeing? And please don't turn this into a sex scene because I don't think I could handle them doing things covered in Nazi bloods. I've got limits. I mean, she was dripping with red. It was like I was like, how am I seeing this? The writing in that game, by the way, is impeccable.
Perfect.
So this is the scenario that we're encountering. There's a lot of these studios that basically had this had these people come and come up with this kind of gritty stuff, and these are the people who push and think outside the box, because if they're not willing to think outside the box on some things, then they're not going to think outside the box on the rest of everything that they're working on, right? Like they're not going to think outside the box when it comes to gameplay if they're not willing to think outside the box when it comes to the experience that they're giving the user in the story, and and so on and so forth. So this is definitely one of these scenarios where we are watching the end essentially of these big companies, and they're starting to crash down, and it's these smaller ones, or it's the studios that say, look, we're not here to control you. Create whatever game you want to create. Be creative. Do what you think is interesting. You've done it before successfully. Why would we get in your way now? And so that's the kind of stuff that I think you're right is going to end up driving. Excuse me, hiccup. Is going to end up driving the industry forward.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for us. Unless there was any other topics you want to talk about, but we've covered the big ones. We've covered everything that's on my list here. So,
yeah. So when it comes to Cyberpunk, next week we're going to be doing some interesting stuff. We're going to be doing a lot of live streams, and we're also going to be trying to do as much interaction as we can with you guys. Please let us know. Send us some feedback. This is the time of the year where we make changes typically. So if you're interested in stuff, if you want to let us know something about what you perceive could be done a little bit better, please let us know now, because once we get through the winter, then we're kind of like stuck in the we're not stuck, but this is the time that we can make the best changes and have them stick for the following year. That's what I'm trying to say. Not that we're hardwired into any mistakes that we make now. It's just that this is the best time to correct any mistakes. So please let us know if you guys have any feedback. We're really looking forward to that. Also, thanks for all of the feedback from all of the readers who've been reading my book. We're preparing to get into the big dive now. I'm finalizing the last chapter on the second book, and then we're going to go back and we're going to start rewriting. If you want to join that process or find out what I'm talking about, please join us on the Discord. Winter is our big time for self-improvement. Check out the store and let us know what you guys want for merch and stuff like that. We want to be able to provide you things that you can buy your grandmother or your brother or your uncle or your aunt or your son or your daughter or whatever, and it works just as functionally as the other stuff that we sell that's got our logo and stuff plastered all over it. So whichever one you like, let us know. Whatever you like and want more of, let us know. So
Ren Sten, thank you so much for the super chat. It says AAA gaming is essentially corporate focus testing. Innovation always comes from below, not in a culture where people run the numbers. Thus AAA equals fail. And I think there's some truth to that. I think that it doesn't have to be that way, but in a lot of cases it does end up that way.
Sometimes they get consumed by the process, and then they forget what it's doing the work for, right?
Yeah. I saw another comment earlier asking if we're doing a podcast Wednesday. It's really difficult to say at this point. If CDPR drops us some review copies of Cyberpunk on Tuesday or Wednesday, we will not be doing a podcast, or at least maybe one of us won't be there on the podcast. Oh, Polly's, thank you so much for the sticker.
Thank you for the super sticker.
That one's cute. One of us will always be doing. Typically, we'll always be doing something with our regular time. But yeah, things are up in the air right now, and we haven't heard diddly squat. So yeah,
it's very up in the air. So this week we'll update you as much as we can. On the Discord we'll
emails, and we still got nothing. So.
Yeah. Well, I doubt we'll hear anything over the weekend. But as soon as we won't be able to tell you we'll likely not be able to tell you what's going on if we do get a review copy, but we'll update you on if and when we're live streaming, if and when we're doing a podcast. And the embargo on putting out content for Cyberpunk is up. It's crazy early in the morning on on Thursday for us, so we'll see. It might be an early morning for us there, so we might be getting to bed early. We'll see. Probably streaming in the Discord server, possibly on Twitch or YouTube. We still have a lot to work out as far as that goes, but there will definitely be stuff happening in the Discord server, so join us there. Ashton Banky says, I'm having trouble accessing your Discord link. Are there other ways to access your Discord server? That's odd. We'll look into that. We'll make sure the link still works. It should, but generally, I mean, you could just go to... I suppose you could search for... Is there a way to search servers? I don't even know.
I can post a new one, too.
Yeah, okay. So Moontag has just posted a Discord link in the chat there for you. If you don't have Discord installed, it can be... you can run Discord in your browser, but it sometimes gets finicky. So, all right. Anyway, with that, I guess we'll wrap up the show for today. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for all of the support. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for listening live or after the fact. Really appreciate it. Welcome you to join the Discord community, as I said below, or as I said above. We've mentioned many times on the show today. And don't forget to slam that like button if you have not already done that. We'd really appreciate that. And stay tuned for a lot of Cyberpunk content coming up very soon on this channel. And we want to extend a special thank you to our Patreon supporters and our channel members who help to make this content possible. Robin, Shua82, Time Beans, Schoolaman, Lady Reaver, Dracoden, Niv, 2Tall12, Atomic Stew. Those are our big damn heroes on Patreon. And then channel members here on YouTube: Jer Schultz, Game Notes, Night City Punk, Terror K. If you're listening after the fact on one of the audio-only platforms, we appreciate your interactions there as well. And don't forget, you can join us live on YouTube on Wednesdays and Saturdays, where you can interact with us and other listeners and be part of the discussion. Exact times and schedules can be found on the Discord. This podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. On our YouTube channel, you can find game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Ash. I'm also here with Cybsidian and Moontag, and on behalf of them, I thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you again very soon.